The shotgun blast echoed through the cornfields like God's own thunder, shattering the summer silence and Austin's world in one deafening crack. He was 12, crouched behind the old red barn on their family's Iowa farm, his heart pounding not from the hunt but from the secret glance he'd stolen at Tommy Hargrove's bare chest during the creek swim earlier that day. "What the hell are you doing hidin' like a damn queer?" his oldest brother, Jake, bellowed, his voice laced with that familiar mix of booze and brotherhood, rifle still smoking in his grip as he stomped over the dry earth. Austin froze, the word queer slicing deeper than any bullet could, his small hands clutching the wildflowers he'd picked, not for a girl, like the others teased, but because they reminded him of the soft curve of Tommy's smile. Jake's shadow fell over him like a storm cloud, the other brothers, Mark, Tyler, and little Ben trailing behind, their laughter dying on their lips as they saw the fear in Austin's eyes. That night, under the yellow bulb of the kitchen light, their father pulled him aside, the scent of pipe tobacco thick in the air. "Boys like girls, son. That's how it works in this house. You ain't one of them city freaks." But Austin was already broken, the rejection seeding a garden of thorns in his chest that would bloom for years. Years blurred into a haze of stolen moments and buried truths. The farm was a kingdom of rough hands and rougher love. 5 boys raised by a widowed father who preached hard work and harder silences. Jake, the eldest at 25 when Austin turned 18, was the kingpin, all broad shoulders and bar fights, chasing skirts at the county fair like it was his God-given right. Mark, the smart one, buried his nose in vet books but still snuck off with cheerleaders from the local high. Tyler, wild as a Mustang, wrecked trucks and hearts in equal measure. And Ben, the baby, idolized them all, mimicking their swagger even as Austin watched from the edges. His affections twisted toward the farmhands with calloused palms and quiet eyes. Austin learned to hide early. He'd linger in the hayloft, heart racing at the sight of Caleb, the summer help, stripping off his sweat-soaked shirt after baling wire. But Caleb caught him once, staring too long, and the punch that followed left Austin spitting blood into the straw. "Faggot," Caleb muttered, the word a brand that seared into Austin's skin. He told no one, not even when Jake dragged him to the VFW hall for his first beer, slapping his back with tales of conquests. "You'll get it, US. Just gotta chase the right tail." Austin nodded, swigging the bitter foam, but his mind wandered to the boys in the grain elevator, their bodies lean and sun-kissed, far from the girls Jake paraded like trophies. By high school, the charade cracked. Prom night, Austin stood in a rented tux that hung loose on his lanky frame, partnered with Sarah Jenkins because Jake said it looked good for the family name. She was sweet, all freckles and giggles, but when she leaned in for a kiss under the gym's twinkling lights, Austin's stomach churned like spoiled milk. He pulled away, mumbling about the heat, and fled to the parking lot where he chain-smoked half a pack, tears hot on his cheeks. Tommy Hargrove found him there, the same Tommy whose smile haunted his dreams, now a senior with a letterman's jacket and a girlfriend on his arm. "You okay, man?" Tommy asked, his voice soft as the Midwest breeze. For a heartbeat, Austin almost confessed, the pull between them electric, unspoken, but headlights swept the lot, Jake's truck roaring up with the brothers howling victory songs. Tommy clapped his shoulder and vanished into the night, leaving Austin with the ache of what-ifs. College was supposed to be escape, but even the University of Iowa in Iowa City felt like an extension of the farm, frat boys bellowing about pussy over keg stands, professors droning on about manifest destiny while Austen sat in the back, sketching faces in his notebook, sharp jaws, full lips, eyes that saw through him. He majored in agriculture, because that's what the family expected, but minored in English lit, devouring Whitman and Ginsberg in secret, their words a balm to his fractured soul. One rainy afternoon in the library, he met Professor Harlan, a silver fox type with a tweed jacket and a knowing smile, who pulled him aside after class. "Your essays sing, Austen. There's poetry in your pain." Harlan's hand lingered on his shoulder, and for the first time, Austen didn't flinch. They met in the professor's office, doors locked, the air thick with forbidden heat, Harlan's fingers tracing the lines of a poem Austen had written about brothers and shadows. It was clumsy, desperate, Austen's first taste of touch that didn't come with fists or shame. But word spread like prairie fire. Jake showed up unannounced one weekend, pounding on the dorm door with a six-pack and suspicion in his eyes. "Heard you're shacked up with some old pervert," he growled, shoving Austen against the wall. The brothers had pieced it together from rumors back home, Sarah's disappointed whispers, the farmhand's averted gazes. That night, they dragged him to the gravel pit outside town, tires spinning mud as Tyler revved the engine. "We're family, U.S. We fixed this." Mark held him down while Jake preached fire and brimstone, quoting Leviticus from a dog-eared Bible. Ben, barely 16, watched with wide eyes, whispering, "Don't make him mad." They left him there at dawn, bruised and bloodied, with a warning, "Come home straight, or don't come home at all." Austen didn't go back. He dropped out mid-semester, packed his beat-up Ford pickup with Whitman's leaves and Harlan's parting gift, a worn copy of Giovanni's Room, and headed west, chasing the horizon like a man possessed. Chicago called, a steel and concrete beast where anonymity was currency. He crashed on a cousin's couch in Wicker Park, waitressed at a dive bar called the Rusty Nail, slinging IPAs to hipsters and hiding his accent behind forced smiles. The city pulsed with possibility, rain-slick streets alive with laughter, rainbow flags fluttering from brownstones like defiant prayers. Austen wandered the loop at night, the L train rumbling overhead like his own restless heart, wondering if reinvention was just another word for running. It was there, in the dim glow of a poetry slam at a hole-in-the-wall cafe on North Avenue, that he first saw Lawrence. The room was a crush of bodies, tattooed artists nursing whiskeys, drag queens in sequins stealing the mic with verses that dripped honey and hurt. Lawrence took the stage like he owned it, all lean muscle and quiet fire, his voice a low rumble that cut through the smoke. "I grew up chasing ghosts in the Georgia pines, where love was a sin whispered in the dark." Austen's breath caught. Those words echoed his own buried screams. Lawrence was 26, a transplant from Atlanta with skin like polished mahogany, eyes the color of storm clouds, and a fade haircut that begged fingers to trace its edges. He wore a faded Ramones tee under a leather jacket, jeans slung low on hips that swayed with easy grace. Their eyes locked mid-poem, Lawrence's gaze snagging on Austen like a hook in flesh. When he stepped down, applause thundering, he made a beeline for the bar where Austen nursed a cheap bourbon, heart hammering. "That last line," Lawrence said, sliding onto the stool beside him, his drawl thick as molasses, about brothers who build walls instead of bridges. "You feel that?" Austen nodded, throat dry, and for the first time in years, he didn't look away. They talked till closing, about Harlan's betrayal. The professor had ghosted him after threats from the dean, About Jake's wedding back home where Austen's empty chair spoke volumes. Lawrence shared his own scars, a Bible-belt upbringing, a father who preached love thy neighbor but locked the door on his deviant son. Ran to the city lights, Lawrence said, clinking glasses, hoping they'd burn away the shame. By dawn, they were tangled in Lawrence's walk-up in Logan Square, sheets twisted like confessions, bodies moving in a rhythm that felt like salvation. Austen's hands mapped the ridges of Lawrence's back, tracing scars from a belt-whipping Lawrence called Daddy's Sermon. Lawrence whispered poetry against his neck, words tumbling like rain. You're the verse I didn't know I needed. It was messy, raw, teeth on collarbones, gasps echoing off peeling wallpaper. But in that moment, Austen believed in redemption. Mornings blurred into coffee runs and shared smokes on fire escapes, Lawrence's head on Austen's shoulder as they watched the sun gild the skyline. For the first time, the thorns in his chest loosened, blooming into something tender. But Chicago wasn't kind to fragile things. Winter hit like a freight train, winds howling off Lake Michigan, turning the streets into frozen veins. Austen picked up shifts at a construction site in Pilsen, hauling rebar under the watchful eye of a foreman who eyed his soft hands with suspicion. Lawrence waitressed at a trendy spot in River North, charming tourists with his smile while dodging the advances of wealthy patrons who saw him as exotic flavor. They made it work. Nights in Lawrence's cramped apartment, cooking gumbo from his mama's recipe mixed with Austen's farm-fresh cornbread, laughing over bootleg Dylan bootlegs on a thrift store turntable. You're my anchor, A.U.S., Lawrence murmured one blizzard-bound evening, snow tapping the window like impatient fingers. Austen pulled him closer, inhaling the scent of sandalwood and sweat, thinking this was what home could be, not a farmhouse of judgments, but a heartbeat against his own. Yet shadows lingered. Jake called once, voice crackling over the line from Iowa, the combine's hum in the background. Ma's sick, U.S. Cancer. Come home. Austen's grip tightened on the receiver, guilt twisting like barbed wire. He'd avoided the farm since the gravel pit, letters unanswered, birthdays marked with silence. I can't, he whispered, glancing at Lawrence dozing on the couch, oblivious. Jake's laugh was bitter. Still plain pretend? Family's blood. Boy. Thicker than your fairy tales. The line went dead, leaving Austen adrift in the static of what-ifs. He didn't tell Lawrence, burying the call like a seed he hoped would rot. Spring thawed the ice, but not the fractures. Lawrence's poetry took off. A chapbook deal from a small press, readings at the Green Mill where jazz legends once wailed. Austen swelled with pride, front row at every gig, but envy crept in unbidden. His own words stayed locked in journals, too raw for the stage, echoes of brothers' taunts whispering not good enough. One night, after a packed house at a Ukrainian village bookstore, Lawrence pulled him into the alley for a celebratory kiss, champagne breath mingling with cigarette smoke. This is us, baby. Climbing out the dirt together. Austen nodded, but as Lawrence's star rose, invitations poured in. LA scouts, New York editors, while Austen hammered nails, his dreams deferred like bad checks. The first crack came subtle, a hairline in porcelain. Lawrence started staying out late, networking over drinks that stretched to dawn. Austen paced the apartment, the clocks tick a metronome to his doubts. Just poets and bullshit. Lawrence shrugged off the questions, pulling Austen into bed with apologies that tasted like whiskey. But Austen smelled the lies, cologne not his own, a lipstick smudge on a collar dismissed as some drunk girl's hug, trust frayed, thread by thread, Austen retreating into long runs along the lakefront, pounding pavement until his lungs burned, replaying Jake's words, family's blood. Summer scorched the city, humidity thick as regret. They escaped to a cabin in the Indiana dunes, a wedding gift from Lawrence's aunt, a ramshackle place with creaky floors and a view of dunes rolling like golden waves. It was meant to mend, a weekend of no phones, just them. They hiked the trails, hands linked, sand sifting between fingers as Lawrence recited E. Cummings under the pines. I carry your heart with me. Austen believed it again, the hurt thawing in the heat of their bodies on a blanket by the fire pit, stars wheeling overhead like indifferent witnesses. But on the drive back, Lawrence's phone buzzed incessantly, a name flashing Aidan that made Austen's jaw clench. Old friend from Atlanta, Lawrence said too quickly, silencing it. Austen stared out at the blurring billboards, the word betrayal forming unbidden on his tongue. Back in the city, the dam broke. Austen found the texts while Lawrence showered, flirty exchanges with Aidan, a graphic designer in from LA for the reading circuit. Miss your hands on me, Aidan wrote. Soon, baby. Chicago's temporary. Austen's vision tunneled, the phone slipping from numb fingers. When Lawrence emerged, towel slung low, Austen thrust the device at him, voice cracking like dry earth. Who the fuck is this? Lawrence's face drained of color, then flushed with defensiveness. It's nothing, U.S. Just talk. You're always so damn insecure. Insecure, Austen roared, the farm boy's fury erupting. I left everything for this, for us, and you're texting some asshole like I'm yesterday's news. Lawrence stepped closer, eyes flashing. You think it's easy for me? Carrying all this, my past? Your baggage? Aidan gets it. No drama. The words landed like punches. Austen reeling back against the wall, the apartment spinning. He grabbed his jacket, storming into the night, the door slamming like a gunshot. He wandered the streets for hours, rain starting in fat drops that soaked through his tea, mirroring the tears he couldn't hold back. Wrigleyville's neon blurred, bar hoppers spilling onto sidewalks with carefree laughs that mocked his unraveling. He ended up at the Rusty Nail, the old haunt, nursing a Jameson until the bartender cut him off. Go home, kid. Whatever it is, fix it. But home was a lie now, Lawrence's apartment a tomb of shared dreams. Austen crashed on a bench in Grant Park, the bean reflecting his distorted face back at him, hollow cheeks, eyes red-rimmed, like a stranger wearing his skin. Dawn found him there, shivering as joggers blurred past. His phone buzzed. Lawrence, we need to talk. Please. Austen deleted it, thumb hovering over Jake's number before dialing instead. Ma. His voice broke on the word. Jake answered, gruff as ever. She's hangin' on, U.S. But she asks for you. The miles between Iowa and Chicago felt infinite, a chasm of unspoken loves and lost chances. Austen booked a bus ticket, the Greyhound's rumble lulling him into fitful sleep, dreams tangled with Lawrence's touch and brother's shadows. The farm hadn't changed, silos standing sentinel against a sky bruised purple, the air heavy with manure and memory. Jake met him at the gate, arms crossed, no handshake offered. Didn't think you'd show. Inside, the house smelled of liniment and fried chicken. Ma frail in her rocker by the window, chemo-ravaged but eyes sharp as ever. My boy, she whispered, pulling him into a hug that smelled of lavender and regret. The brothers hovered, Mark with a toddler on his hip, Tyler nursing a beer, Ben now 21 and broad as an ox, all avoiding Austen's gaze like he carried plague. Dinner was a minefield. Talk skirted politics and crops, but Jake finally cracked. Heard you're still. You know, the word hung, ugly and familiar. Austen set down his fork, the scrape echoing. Gay, Jake. Say it. Silence crashed, Ma's hand trembling on his. Tyler snorted. Always the dramatic one, but Ben spoke up, voice low. I saw you that night in the hayloft, U.S. with Caleb. Didn't say shit cause. Hell, I get it now. The admission hung. A bridge extended across the gulf. Jake's face twisted, anger, shame, something softer. We were kids. Scared. Ma squeezed Austen's hand. Love's love, son. Even if it don't look like ours. He stayed a week, mending fences in small ways, helping Mark with calving season, teaching Ben to fish the creek like old times. Jake thawed slowest. A grunted thanks over coffee one dawn, eyes on the horizon. Ma needs you. We all do. Austen nodded, the thorns retracting just a fraction. But Chicago pulled. Lawrence's unanswered texts a siren call. On the bus back, he typed one, I'm coming home. But we fight this. Lawrence was waiting at the terminal. I shadowed, a single rose in his fist, red as accusation. I fucked up, U.S. Aiden was. Escape. From the pressure, from us almost breaking, they drove in silence, the city unfolding like a map of mistakes. At the apartment, words poured, tears, shouts, then silence broken by kisses that tasted of salt and second chances. I choose you, Lawrence vowed, fingers laced with Austen's. Every damn time, Austen believed him, the summer heat wrapping them like a promise, unaware of the storm brewing. Fall painted Chicago in fire, leaves scorching crimson along the boulevards, the air crisp with the promise of change. Austen and Lawrence rebuilt, brick by careful brick. They adopted a stray mutt named Whitman, a scruffy terrier who chewed shoes but slept curled between them like a furry chaperone. Lawrence's chapbook launched to murmurs of acclaim, his reading at the bookseller drawing a crowd that spilled onto the street. Austen stood in the shadows, pride swelling as Lawrence dedicated a poem to the man who taught me home ain't a place, it's a pulse. Later, in bed, Austen traced the ink on Lawrence's forearm, a quote from Baldwin. If you love yourself, you love others. That's us, Austen murmured, and Lawrence's laugh rumbled deep, chasing away the ghosts. But Aiden lingered like smoke. He dropped by for a visit, all charm and cheekbones, crashing on their couch under the guise of collaboration. Austen gritted his teeth through dinners where Aiden's foot, accidentally, brushed Lawrence's under the table, his stories of L.A. glamour a siren song. You two should come out west, Aiden purred one night over wine, eyes on Lawrence. Bigger stages. Baby. Austen excused himself, splashing water on his face in the bathroom, fighting the urge to smash the mirror. When he emerged, Lawrence shot him an apologetic glance. But the seed of doubt had taken root again, twisting toward the light. Work hardened Austen, promoted to site supervisor, barking orders at crews who respected his quiet command. He saved for a ring, A simple silver band engraved with "Carry Your Heart," hidden in his sock drawer like a talisman. Dreams of a commitment ceremony flickered. Maybe in the dunes, vows exchanged under the pines. But Jake's calls grew frequent, Ma's treatments failing, her voice a rasp over the line. "Come see me, U.S. Bring that boy of yours," Austen promised. But Aidan's visit stretched. Just a week more turning to 2. One night, coming home early from a rain-delayed shift, Austen found the apartment dim, jazz crooning low. Laughter spilled from the bedroom, Lawrence's, rich and unguarded, mingled with Aidan's drawl. He pushed the door open, the scene etching into his brain like acid. Lawrence on the bed, shirt unbuttoned, Aidan's hands on his thighs, lips inches from sealing a kiss. Time fractured. "Get the fuck out," Austen growled, voice lethally calm. Aidan scrambled up, smirking even in retreat. "Didn't mean to intrude. Farm boy," Lawrence bolted after him. "AUS. Wait." But Austen was already gone. Jacket snatched, door rattling in its frame. He drove aimlessly, the Ford's wipers slashing rain, ending up at the lake's edge where waves crashed like accusations. Betrayal burned, hotter than any brother's fist, a knife twisted by the one who'd promised to heal. Lawrence found him at midnight, headlights cutting the dark, his face streaked with rain or tears. It wasn't what it looked like. He pushed. "I froze." Austen laughed. Hollow. Froze? Or wanted it? The fight spilled out. Years of Austen's insecurities clashing with Lawrence's deflections. Words weapons honed on old wounds. "You're always half out the door, Lawrence, chasing the next bright light while I hold the fort." Lawrence fired back. "And you're a goddamn anchor, dragging me down with your family bullshit. I need more than this cage." The rose from the terminal wilted on the dashboard, petals curling black. They separated, a trial run that felt like amputation. Austen moved into a sublet in Ukrainian village, a studio with peeling wallpaper and a hot plate, Whitman trailing him with mournful eyes. Days blurred into numbness, work, runs, whiskey neat at corner bars where sad sacks swapped stories of lost loves. He wrote letters to Ma, unsent, pouring out the hurt. "Love's a battlefield, and I'm riddled with holes." Jake texted once, "Heard your solo. Tough break. Call if you need." The olive branch stung, a reminder that blood could wound deeper than lovers. Lawrence reached out through mutual friends. Poems slipped under the door, voicemails thick with regret. "I see you in every line, U.S. Come back." Austen deleted them, but sleep betrayed him. Dreams of tangled limbs and whispered vows. Aidan vanished to L.A. A final text to Lawrence, "Told you he'd bolt." It fueled the fire. Lawrence showing up at Austen's site one crisp October afternoon, hard hat in hand, eyes pleading. "I'm done running. Therapy. U.S. I'm going." Unpacking the mess with a shrink. For us. Austen wiped mortar from his brow, the crew's whistles fading. "Why now?" Lawrence stepped closer, voice breaking. "Because losing you carved me hollow. You're my verse, my pulse." They tried again, cautious as cats on a ledge. Couples counseling in a Lincoln Park office. The therapist a no-nonsense dyke with a clipboard and zero patience for bullshit. Sessions unearthed landmines, Lawrence's fear of entrapment from his father's cage, Austen's terror of abandonment rooted in the farm's rejection. "Trust is earned," the therapist said, "not owed." They earned it in small acts. Date nights at jazz clubs. No phones. Weekend getaways to Galena. Apple picking and bonfires where secrets burned to ash. Whitman approved, tail wagging furiously at their reunions. Thanksgiving loomed. Ma's voice fainter on calls. Bring him, Austin. I want to meet the man who mended my boy. Lawrence hesitated, his Bible belt scars itching. What if they hate me? Austin cupped his face. They won't. Or if they do, we walk out together. The drive to Iowa was tense. Cornstalks whispering judgments. But Jake met them at the door with a nod and a beer for Lawrence. Heard you right. Ma likes poetry. Dinner was awkward. Tyler's jokes landing flat. Mark's wife eyeing Lawrence curiously. But Ma held court from her chair, frail hands clasping theirs. Love ain't about who you love, she said. Eyes on Austin. It's how deep you dive. Lawrence read a poem that night. Voice steady. In the heartland's grip, we found our bloom. Ben clapped first, the others following. A fragile truce. Winter gripped again, but warmth bloomed inside. Austin proposed on New Year's, under the bean at midnight, fireworks exploding like stars reborn. Lawrence said yes through tears, the ring slipping on with a click like fate locking into place. Plans swirled. A small wedding in the dunes, vows witnessed by sand and sea. But Ma's decline accelerated, hospice whispers turning to realities. Austin flew home alone, Lawrence staying to wrap a reading tour. The farm was a vigil, brothers taking shifts, Jake's hand heavy on Austin's shoulder. You were right to leave, U.S. We were wrong. Ma passed at dawn. Her last words a rasp. Tell your Lawrence. Love fierce. Grief hollowed him. The funeral a blur of casseroles and condolences. Jake pulled him aside after. Voice gruff. Stay. Help run the place. Austin shook his head. Chicago's home now. But we'll visit. The brothers hugged him goodbye. Awkward but real. Ben slipping a note. Proud of you, big bro. Back in the city, Lawrence held him through the nights of sobs. No words needed. We're enough, he whispered, and Austin clung to that, the thorns finally flowering into fragile hope. Yet spring brought omens. Lawrence's book tour extended New York, then LA for one last pitch. Aiden's name surfaced in emails. Professional overlap. Austin trusted, or tried, but the old fears gnawed. One night, alone with Whitman, a call came, unknown number, Jake's voice urgent. AUS, get home. Tyler's in trouble. Overdose. The farm called again, blood louder than vows. Austin boarded the red-eye. The planes hum a dirge over his racing thoughts. Tyler, wild Tyler, the one who'd taught him to drive stick on back roads, who'd covered for his disappearances with excuses to Pa, now laid low by pills chased with bourbon. The farm's endless grind cracking him open. Lawrence saw him off at O'Hare, kiss lingering like a question. Call me when you land. I love you. Austin nodded, the ring on his finger a weight and a wing. The landing in Des Moines jarred him awake. Dawn bleeding pink over flatlands that once confined him. The farm was chaos. Sheriff's cruiser lights pulsing blue in the driveway. Ma's empty rocker a ghost on the porch. Jake paced the kitchen, face haggard. Mark on the phone with rehab centers. Found him in the barn, Jake muttered, handing Austin coffee black as sin. Pills from the vet shed. Said the land's eaten him alive. Tyler lay in the guest room, pale as way, for drip beeping softly, Ben at his side like a sentinel. Austen sat with him, holding a hand that felt foreign, calloused, trembling. Why, Ty? Tyler's eyes fluttered open, bloodshot. Same reason you ran, U.S. Can't breathe here. Pretendin' it's killin' me. The days stretched into a vigil of sorts. Austen helped Jake with chores, mending fences under a relentless sun, the wire biting his palms like penance. Evenings, they gathered on the porch, beers cracking open, stories spilling like confessions. Mark admitted his own dark nights, the pressure of legacy. Ben shared coming-out fears, a boyfriend hidden in Cedar Rapids. Jake, last, cracked his shell over a bonfire one night, flames dancing shadows on his face. After you left, I questioned shit. Wondered if I was too hard on you, 'cause, hell, maybe I saw myself in the mirror. Austen stared, the admission a bridge long burned, now rebuilt. We all hide, Jake. Question is, do we stop? Tyler stabilized, airlifted to Iowa City for detox, the family rallying in ways Austen never imagined. Letters arrived, from Lawrence, poems folded like origami hearts. In your absence, I mapped the miles with memory. But distance bred doubt. A New York reading photo circulated online. Lawrence arm in arm with a publisher. Smiles too bright. Austen shoved it down, focusing on the farm's rhythm, the low of cattle, the earth's quiet pulse. One afternoon, sorting Ma's attic, he found his old journals, pages yellowed with boyish scrawls of longing. Tucked inside, a photo, the brothers at 12, arms slung, grins wide. He traced their faces, tears blurring the ink, whispering, "Forgive us." 2 weeks in, Lawrence called. Tours wrapping early. Coming to you. Austen's heart leaped, but Jake overheard, brow furrowing. That your city boy? The edge in his voice, old habits, stung. Yeah. He's family. Jake nodded slow. Bring him. We'll barbecue. It was progress, jagged but real. Lawrence arrived on a sweltering July eve, rental car kicking dust, his presence a bomb amid the humidity. The brothers sized him up over ribs and beans. Tyler's weak thumbs up from his chair. Mark's wife peppering questions. Ben's shy grin. Jake clapped Lawrence's back. Poet. Huh? Recite something. Lawrence did. Voice steady under the stars. From dirt we rise. Roots entwined. Silence. Then Jake's grunt. Ain't half bad. They stayed a month. Austen splitting time between farm and city via shuttle. Lawrence charming the locals at the co-op with tales of Chicago grit. Intimacy deepened in stolen moments. The loft where Austen once hid, now a haven for whispered plans. Marry me proper, Lawrence said one dawn, sun slanting through slats. Vows in the city, reception here. Brothers included. Austen laughed, pulling him close. Deal. But no overalls. Felt solid. The betrayal scar fading to silver. Back in Chicago, life revved like the L at rush hour. Wedding plans buzzed. Austen's suit tailored sharp. Lawrence's poem as the first dance. But Aiden resurfaced. A venomous email. Congrats on the leash. He'll tire of flannel. Lawrence deleted it, but the poison seeped. Austen noticed the late nights again. Workshop sessions with new collaborators. Lawrence's phone face down more often. Trust wobbled. Austen burying it in to-do lists, invitations to the brothers, a cake tasting in Andersonville. The climax crashed on a stormy September night, thunder rumbling like the farm's old tractor. Austen came home early, sight flooded out, to find Lawrence on the fire escape, phone to ear, voice low and urgent. I know, Aiden. It's complicated. But I miss. He cut off as Austen burst through the door, rain dripping from his jacket. Miss what? Him? Us? Lawrence whirled, face ashen. AUS. It's not. But Austen snatched the phone. Aiden's laugh tinny. Told you. Farm boy. He's mine. Rage erupted, pure and primal. Austen hurled the phone, shattering it against the wall, shards raining like judgment. You lying son of a bitch. All the therapy, the vows, bullshit. Lawrence lunged, grabbing his arms. He's manipulating. US. I called to end it for good, but doubt roared louder. Austen shoving him back, chest heaving. End it? Or start it? I gave you everything. Left my blood for this. Lawrence's eyes welled, voice breaking. And I gave you my broken pieces, but you never trust. Always waiting for the knife. The fight spilled onto the street, neighbors peeking from windows as thunder cracked. Austen stormed to the ford, keys jangling, Lawrence chasing in the downpour. Don't do this. We're getting married. Austen spun, rain masking tears. Married to a ghost? Go chase your LA dreams. Lawrence. I'm done bleeding. He peeled out, tires hydroplaning, leaving Lawrence silhouetted in the storm, a figure diminished by distance. He drove east, toward the farm, the skyline shrinking in the rearview like a discarded sketch. Hours blurred, wipers slashing fury, radio static spitting Springsteen. Tramps like us, baby, we were born to run. Dawn broke over Indiana, the dunes a hazy promise. He checked into a motel, Whitman's photo on his phone the only company, scrolling old texts from Jake, holding down the fort. You okay? No. He wasn't. Betrayal layered on betrayal, brothers first. Now love's cruel echo. Calls went unanswered. Lawrence's voicemails piled. Please, US. It's over with him. Come back. 3 days of silence. Then Jake's truck rumbled into the lot, dust settling like resolve. Ben said you might be here. What's eaten you? Austen broke then. The whole ugly spill, love's bloom and blight. Jake listened. No judgment, then clapped his shoulder. Love's a gamble, kid. But runnin' don't win it. He stayed the night. Brothers bond a quiet anchor, phoning Lawrence on speaker. You hurt my brother again, poet. And Iowa justice ain't pretty. Lawrence's voice cracked. I won't. Swear on my mama's grave. Austen returned, tentative as a truce. Lawrence waited at the apartment, black eye from Aiden's goodbye punch, bruises mapping regret. He's gone. Blocked. Banned. For you. They collapsed together, sobs mingling, the storm outside mirroring the one within. Counseling resumed, deeper dives into fears. Lawrence's wanderlust a scar from abandonment, Austen's vigilance a shield forged in rejection. We choose each other, the therapist urged. Daily, fall deepened, leaves carpeting streets in gold. The wedding loomed, invitations etched with from shadows to light. But Tyler relapsed, a call shattering the calm. Can't do it, US. The dark's too loud. Austin flew home again, Lawrence in tow, the farm a crucible. They sat with Tyler through the shakes, Lawrence reading poetry by lamplight, his voice a lifeline. Jake watched, nodding approval. You're good for him. Winter wrapped Chicago in iron. But their love thawed it, inch by stubborn inch. The wedding was small, intimate, a rooftop affair in Logan Square under twinkling lights, the city a glittering witness. Austin in a charcoal suit, Lawrence in velvet black, vows exchanged with hands steady despite the tremor. I carry your heart, Lawrence recited, voice husky, through storms and silences. Austin's response simple, you're my horizon. No more running. The brothers flew in, Jake best man. Gruff toast about blood and chosen kin. Ben with his boyfriend, hand in hand. Mark's family a chorus of cheers. Even Tyler, clean a month, clapping with fragile hope. Ma's photo on the table, smiling eternal. Honeymoon in the Keys. Florida sun a balm to Midwestern bones. Snorkeling reefs alive with color. Nights tangled in hammocks swaying to waves. This is forever, Lawrence whispered, salt on his skin. Austin believed it, the betrayal's echo faint as seashell hum. Back home, life settled into grooves. Austin's crew thriving on a high-rise project. Lawrence adjunct teaching at a community college. Their apartment blooming with books and dog hair. Whitman aged gracefully, gray muzzle nuzzling knees. But humanism's grace lies in imperfection. Tyler's recovery faltered. Relapses a cycle Austin navigated with calls and visits. The farm a touchstone. Jake softened further, mailing care packages of jerky and Ma's recipe cards. One note reading, Proud you're you, U.S. Ben came out fully, the family rallying in ways that healed old rifts. Lawrence's past nipped at heels. Aiden's shadow in nightmares. Therapy a weekly confessional. I choose us, he'd affirm. And Austin echoed. Scars their shared map. One spring dawn. 2 years wed. Austin woke to nausea, chalking it to bad takeout. But tests confirmed stress, or something deeper. Doctors murmuring about fertility options. Surrogacy whispers. Lawrence held him through the consult. Ice fierce. Blood or not, we'll build. They pursued adoption. Paperwork a labyrinth of hopes and hurdles. Jake offered. Surrogate from the family? Not. But support? Always. The process dragged. Heartaches in denials. But a call came. A baby boy. Born addicted but resilient. Waiting in foster care. They named him Elias, after Lawrence's grandfather, a nod to roots reclaimed. Homecoming was chaos, Whitman sniffing curiously, the apartment alive with cries and coos. Sleepless nights bonded them deeper, Austin rocking the babe while Lawrence penned lullabies. The brothers visited, Jake bouncing Elias with uncharacteristic gentleness. Little farmer in the Macon, Tyler, sober 6 months, whispered, You saved me by example. Ouse, years folded like pages. Elias toddled, then ran, dark curls a mix of them both. Austin's construction firm grew, projects dotting skylines. Lawrence's first novel hit shelves, a semi-autobiographical tale of love's jagged path. Dedicated to Austin, my verse, my vow. Betrayals faded to footnotes, conflicts to catalysts for growth. The farm sold to a co-op, proceeds funding Ben's art school. Jake retiring to a cabin with a partner he'd met at AA, a quiet woman who saw his scars and stayed. On their 10th anniversary, they returned to the dunes, Elias building castles in sand, Whitman chasing gulls in arthritic glee. Austen pulled Lawrence aside, the lake mirroring sunset. We made it, Lawrence's smile crinkled eyes. Through the fire. Human as hell, they kissed. Salt wind sweet, the horizon endless. In the end, love wasn't flawless, a tapestry of men's and might-have-beens, but profoundly real. Austen, once a boy rejected in cornfields, found brotherhood in blood and choice, romance in a poet's arms. Shadows lingered, but light prevailed, humanistic in its messy grace. Forgiveness earned, hearts carried, forever a daily vow.